Oh, hi folks. Thanks for coming to join us as we share together the greatness or wonder that I have for my mum, Edith Lavinia Humphreys. She was born eldest daughter to Howard and Lucy Humphreys. Howard, I would share with you, her dad was actually born in India to English missionaries. Mum was born Christmas Eve 1920, and she had a brother, George, and Ethne is still with us here as Ethne Wilson, but Ethne Humphreys, Mum's younger sister. If you're seeing this, hi Auntie Ethne. Mum's upbringing was in the Palmerston North area, and I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey of what I feel is the highlights in my life of Mum and Dad. The meeting of Bruce took place in Napier. I understand it was something organised by a mutual friend, and from what I understand, it was love at first sight. That's where we first hear in Mum's journey, or Dad's journey, the term hair's bluey and curly. Dad had real tight curls, and Mum, to this day, beautiful blue eyes. Their courting, I guess, was longer than they wanted it, because Dad had to go away with the New Zealand Air Force and travelled up through the Guadalcanal area as part of the New Zealand Air Force as a fitter armourer. But when they came back, I believe, I know, the 2nd of October in 1945 was when they were married in Palmerston North. When they came back to Auckland, for about £100, they bought a block of land in Papatoetoe. And it was there that they started to build their home. A tent, and then as Dad worked, either for his sister in the home cookery or in the work that he got, out of his week's wages, he would provide for their weekly needs, but he was also buying the material week by week that was needed to, week by week, build the house at 57 Wiley Road in Papatoetoe. They both sacrificed a lot, but in the process and out of wartime needs, not only helping themselves, helped many others as well. But they shared the farm, the responsibilities of cow, and of course Mum's love and Dad's love of gardening. A lot of the produce that we lived on, we shared with the neighbours, and that was really good. They were very, I guess, well, their firstborn turned up 11th of May in 47. Mum had her Sunbun, and as his firstborn, their firstborn, I think if Mum was able to say, her affectionate term to me of Sunbun was great. 3 years later, 9th of November in 1950, my sister Anne arrived. And then on the 9th of April in 1961, both Anne and I, to the delight of both Mum and Dad, receiving of a love child, Marie arrived. Mum and Dad treated us as equals, and before Marie sort of turned up, I was dead keen that I was wanting a brother. Anne, she wanted a sister. Anne won. As kids, we were blessed. Even though we were different, as I said a moment ago, Mum and Dad treated us as equal according to our needs. And for that, I am so grateful. As a family, we often travelled the country, mostly in school holiday time. We met all the relatives up and down the country, and it was also tied in often with business trips as well. everything was an adventure with us. Mum, she always came with everything prepared and always had something to share at whoever was hosting us on the journey. In that time, as a family, we learnt some of the family secrets, like FHB. It took me a long time, but it was just the key word for family hold back, because we were taught social etiquette with families and so on, and that was really great. The other thing is, as growing up, that I found was really hard to accept was Mum's and Dad's fairness to us. You wanted to do something, you went and asked Dad. His answer, go and see your mum. You ask Mum, she says, what did your father say about it? I never understood how that happened, but they came back with a unified answer, and once they'd given us the wisdom of their decision, that was it. But I enjoyed that because it really helped me in my journey. The other thing that I'd like to highlight is the spiritual legacy that Mum and Dad embedded in us. Mum and Dad were both very private people, and yet they lived their lives as living sermons of faith and action. Church attendance was not a big thing to them, but they always encouraged us to go to Sunday school, and I had the freedom to develop my life around the Boys Brigade movement, and I'm so grateful to that. I remember times going to Dad's mum's place at Hodeo Avenue, and us sitting around Grandma's piano, and the family sing-alongs was one of the highlights of our weekly routines. Mum's and Dad's lives were unshakable, grounded upon their personal faith and trust in Jesus Christ and in His provision for their daily needs and for their eternal salvation. Another thing that I have got from them is my dad's and Mum's business legacy. The key word to that is the word integrity. I have seen Mum and Dad develop together dreams and put them all together, and they did it together, and I have a problem in separating what was Mum's or what was Dad's project. I just mention them here, and if you're aware of them, reflect on what that meant to Mum and to Dad. Truebill Tools, Fenton Street, Maraetai, the farm, Paihia, and the shops at Papatoi. Then they had projects. Anne and Marie will probably remember Jambi, a 9-foot dinghy that we built on the front lawn at Fenton Street. That led Dad, in his early days of his senior years, to launch out and build in fiberglass Jock Tampson, a 45-foot yacht. It took a number of years, but we can all recall that Mum got out there and did a lot of the sanding and a lot of the painting with him. It was their project. The farm at Beachlands, sheep, cattle, pine trees. Not only did we as children, but our grandchildren, their grandchildren, our kids, all enjoyed the farm. For Mum, cooking, sewing, millinery, spinning, crocheting, needlework, ladies groups, gardening, catering, all those are things that I know that my mum didn't do half measure. It was done with passion and love. To wrap this up, I would like to thank Mum for being my best girlfriend. I remember either a youth group or a boys brigade occasion where a partner was required. Guess who my partner was? My first date was with my mother, and I loved it. If it was Boys Brigade, the guys may have given me rag, but who cares? That was my mum. That was me. A better date took place 5, maybe 10 years ago. We walked into Manukau City, and as we went into the centre itself, in the middle was a vendor wanting to promote a manicure system. He wanted to polish Mum's nails. He didn't know us, but Mum was hanging on to my arm, and I said to him, "Okay, let's see what you have." And he polished her nails, and as he did so, I said to him, "Oh, this here is my girlfriend." And he looked at me. He probably thought there was an age difference, but whatever. But the girlfriend thing, I guess, sort of blew him a bit away. And then I said to him, "Yes, this is my number one girlfriend, and she always will be, because she was the lady that gave me life." I'll never forget the look on his face and the delight on my mother's face as well, that I had honoured her so publicly to an absolute stranger. But my very best date that I've had with Mum happened back in December last, when I had the privilege to go to NZ to Paul's wedding, and the day or two before that, many of us of our immediate family in the afternoon went to visit Mum at Somerset. Mentioning Somerset, I am so grateful for what the team there have done for Mum, particularly over the last few years, in the awesome way they have treated her with honour and respect right to the last hours of her life. Thank you, Somerset. Now, to go back to that December day, we as a family came together and had family worship together. One of my granddaughters suggested, let's have a sing-along. And I think we started off with "Jesus Loves Me, This I Know," a song that Mum had taught me as a child. And Mum's eyes lit up. And then we started singing some of her favourite hymns. "How Great Thou Art," "Amazing Grace." And in all of that, the more we sang, the more we worshipped together, the more Mum, you could see on her face that we as a family were worshipping and loving God and sharing one another's company. That to me was the greatest date that I've had with my mum, because after they left I went back and spoke to Mum, reminded her that little Lucy, the youngest grandchild in the room that day, named after Mum's mum, was experiencing something I had done as a 5-year-old when Mum took me to Palmerston to meet my great-grandmother. Lucy, you have an experience that you'll treasure in your life together, because when I went back and spoke to Mum, I asked her the name of the lady that I saw as a 5-year-old, and she immediately said that it was Lottie Lavinia. And I thought, yes, Mum, even though dementia may be clouding your memory or mind, her childhood reflections and all of that was so beautiful. Together, I just want to thank Jesus for his grace towards Mum, and right now I visualise Mum playing her keyboard with angels, occasionally getting up and dancing with Dad, something they never ever did, but dancing in worship before the Lord in a place that he prepared for them. And I'm so pleased that Mum, I love you so much, is the best girlfriend a guy could ever want. Thanks, Mum. Love you heaps.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. grace that tore